Hello, we are Julia and Miguel, and we can't really see you right now.
We thought we'd use this opportunity to give you guys a tour of our RV.
Kind of show you what it came with, what we added, and yeah, how we decorated it from inside.
Okay, so here we have our 96 Ford Tioga E350. It's basically like a van with some modifications done by Tioga. This RV is considered a Class C, which is a little bit bigger than a Class B, which would be kind of like those Sprinter vans. Then you have the Class A, which are the humongous RV buses. We chose to go with the Class C because it has a desk setup and has a couple of beds in case we want to invite any of our friends over. We could all fit in here. It sleeps from 6 to 8 people. It's also a little bit cheaper than buying a Class B because everybody right now is traveling with Class B RVs, so they're super hard to get and they're very expensive. This one costed us $10,000. In comparison to Class B, it's very cheap because trying to buy a Sprinter van nowadays is probably somewhere around $40,000 to $50,000 if you get lucky. This one is in really good shape. I mean, you can look at the outside. It's all pretty good shape. We have a little dent here that we did. It was probably within the first 15 minutes of driving. We made a dent. We have our tow hitch, which is nice for bike racks or if you want to pull anything. Unfortunately, we forgot our bike rack, so we didn't bring it. We have a camera here we installed. This is to avoid any backups. As you can tell, it didn't really help. The camera was about $100. Super cheap for the amount of value it brings. I mean, when you're driving, the camera's on, you can see kind of everywhere around you. So a little bit about the setup and kind of the functions and stuff from the RV. We have our hookups on this side, which is essentially our water hookup. This feeds water into the RV and then it powers our shower, toilets, and sinks. It also has an exterior shower here. We have our electrical hookup, which is essentially a wire that runs out to a 30 amp plug. That allows us to turn on our AC and all the outlets inside the RV. We also have a generator here. This generator comes with these RVs. Unfortunately, we have a little problem with the carburetor, so we can't actually run it. We've been either hooking up to RV parks or using our separate generator that we have inside. This here is our water heater. We're not really sure if it works, but we flipped the switch on the other day and it was actually, we could hear a noise, so I think it works, but we haven't actually used it. We have our black water tanks, or plugs or hookups, whatever you call them. They're located here. Essentially, you run a hose to this little hookup here and you get to drain your tanks. And then a lot of times these roofs are in really bad shape. This roof was recently redone, so it's pretty brand new up there and we have no leaks. If you've looked at any of our other videos, you can tell our other RV has a lot of leaks. This one is basically new. Up top we have 2 solar panels that we installed. We also have the Starlink up there. Solar panels costed $100 each. They're 100-watt solar panels. We have 2 of them up there, so about $200. The wire feeds into a 2,000 watts inverter that costs about $400. And then we have a battery, which is another $200. The Starlink was $700. It's pretty high to kind of get started. It's $700 in hardware, and then you pay $110 a month if you want residential internet. We went with RV since we want to move around, so we have to pay $25 more, so it's $135 a month. But the little tip I can give you is if you can get it shipped to Mexico, do it, and then the price is half off, so it's about $55 a month. So now we'll jump to this side. This is essentially the front of the RV. That was the back side. That's where you plug in, drop off everything. This is the front side. Here we have our storage. This is where we have our gas tanks, our tables, our stove, chairs, everything here stored. pretty big storage, very useful for all the stuff we don't want to store inside. Here we have a little tank for portable water. If you don't want to plug into a hose, you can fill up this tank and have water. Here we have a little stereo system that we can turn on. Surprisingly, it still works. We have 2 plugs outside. And then here we have our propane tanks. So this powers a stove that you'll see inside in a little bit. We have a leveling thing here, which essentially tells you if the RV is leveled. Now we'll jump inside. So one of the first things when purchasing an RV is to make sure the seats are comfortable. Many RVs like these have leather seats, and those seats are very uncomfortable. I made sure I had these captain seats, which are like very spongy, very comfortable when driving, you know, far distances. Here's a screen for the camera. This all came with the camera. It was included in the $100. Here we have our rear view camera. This is a must-have. I think it's probably the best thing you can invest in if you're purchasing an RV. This is another thing that's very important. Basically, I get to put my phone here and drive without having to hold it. I think this was $10 on Amazon. Very important. We have the wires for the camera kind of hooked up here. We have a little bit of a mess. We kind of came out in a rush, so we couldn't really set everything up. So we just kind of threw everything together, and we haven't fixed it since. Up here we have a bed. It's an additional bunk bed. We're kind of using it as storage, but it's a very comfy bed in case anybody wants to join. I think this top bed is what makes an RV from a class B to a class C. So if you have this bunk bed, it basically brings you up a level in RV terminology. Here we have a TV mount. We don't actually have a TV right now, but if we did want to have one, this is where it would be mounted. Up here we have a little bit more storage. We have our toolbox, a couple of lights, and a couple more blankets. We've been purchasing these blankets kind of as we've been going on this road trip. The RV kind of came with these curtains. Julia and I went to Home Depot to buy some blinds to remove these curtains. Unfortunately, the blinds were pretty expensive, so we decided to go a little bit lower budget. We bought these insulation. Basically, we use these just for light. We wanted to cover the windows, that way it would get very dark in here. I put some Velcro squares here, and then I put the others on that side. Unfortunately, they fell off the windows, so more recently we've kind of just been throwing these oversized ones, kind of sticking them here on the window just to cover the windows. But the correct way was kind of like this window here. So there's a Velcro here, so you can take off and you can put back on, and then it basically doesn't allow light to come in. It also keeps the cool from the truck, so when you have your AC on, it keeps it cool in here. Or when you have this AC on, it keeps it cool in here as well. So we have a couple of lights here. These are all working because we're currently hooked up. We have these AC vents. This is where the air comes out from the AC. The AC thermostat is right here. Essentially, you turn it on here, you turn it off. It's also not very common to buy an RV with the AC working. A lot of the times when you're searching for an RV, I'm also, of course, talking about lower budgets. If you buy a $100,000 RV, of course, the AC is going to work. But when you're looking at a lower budget between, $10,000 and $20,000, the AC doesn't always work. So this was one of the big factors in us purchasing this RV. We have a microwave. It works. We haven't used it, but it works. We have a stove. This stove worked when we were testing out the RV, when we went to go look at it. The guy was able to turn it on. We haven't been able to turn it on, so we're not really sure if we're out of propane or what's going on. So we've been cooking outside for that reason. Yeah, we have kind of our vents here. These are kind of all our, it shows us the level of fuel, water, and all this stuff. We're able to turn on our fan, a light, the water pump, water heater, shows us the condition of our battery, the holding tanks, basically shows you if your tanks are full, if your tanks are empty, shows you your propane. It says it's full. We're not sure, it's not working, so we're not sure if kind of this is failing or the stove is not working. On this side we have a fridge. We haven't had a fridge in the last 3 months. We've been living at the ranch, our other RV. The fridge doesn't work. This has been working phenomenally. And then of course our regular fridge, which has a couple of beer, mostly beer, some cheeses, milks, kind of the snacks we've been doing. We've been keeping it very simple, but still eating very good. So here we have kind of I showed you the Starlink earlier. Here we have where it feeds in through the back. We run our wire through here. We're kind of holding it with our cabinets. We didn't do anything permanent since we're moving, so we're taking it off, putting it on. So we couldn't do anything permanent here. We set up our router here and then have it plugged in to one of our outlets here. Since we're moving every 2 or 3 days, we just throw it like this. We go outside, grab the Starlink, throw it in through the window, and just move to our next place. Whenever we arrive somewhere else, we pull it back out and then throw it up there, and it's ready to go. We have our sink. Our sinks are working, of course. We haven't had running water for also the better of 3 months. So on this side, we have our generators. These are what give us power when we don't have somewhere to hook up. This generator is a little bit bigger. This one has a 30 amp plug, so it allows us to turn on our AC. Whenever we don't need the AC, we use our other generator, which is the Honda. This is essentially just for smaller appliances like the Starlink or a fan. You can't really run the AC with that generator. We have our cooler as well. We brought this in case we're not hooking up somewhere. We don't have the fridge. We brought our cooler so we can just throw some ice in there and have all our stuff be cold. So on this side we have kind of our office, if you will. Like I said in the beginning, the reason we went with the Class C was because not only was it much cheaper, but it also allowed us to work comfortably. This is kind of our little setup. I typically sit on this side. So I have my computer here, my notepad, and my phone. And then Julia sits across from me with her computer. Usually she has a GoPro or drone with her, editing some videos. But yeah, it's more than enough room. We both have our space. And if at any moment one of us gets tired, we can run to the bed, get our space. Something you wouldn't be able to do in a Class B. It's a little bit nicer, a Class B, but also I think it's more for people who aren't working all day, because you would have to probably break down your bed to have a desk. And in this case, we have our desk and we have our bed, and we don't have to break anything down. If we did want to break it down though, if we had more people here, this also breaks down. This falls, and then you put kind of these backrest on this one, and then it converts to another bed for 2 people. So essentially, this RV sleeps 6 people. 2 people can sleep here, 2 people sleep up here, and then 2 people sleep up there. So now we'll go to where the real business happens. That is our bathroom. We have our toilet, our shower, and a sink, and of course insulation for the lights. The nice thing about this bathroom is that everything works. Our shower works, our toilet works, and our sink works. The reason I'm emphasizing on stuff working is because the other RV we have at the ranch, a lot of things don't work. So we typically shower with the bucket, and yeah, the door's a little bit hard to shut, but it works. We have our closet, or Julia's closet. Basically, we have a couple of sweaters. We also have a couple of lunch things here. And then we have a couple of other closet space or cabinets here with bags and other things, cleaning products. On this side, we also have a little bit more cabinet space. This is essentially the clothes we wear on a daily basis. So that's our walkthrough. I hope you liked it. And yeah, let us know if we missed anything.
Thank you for a little tour, Miggy. And see you in our next video. Ciao, cacao.